Hey, Tarithal here. Just providing a quick update to the Aug nerf that just came through yesterday. So in my last video, I provided the talent trees for the Chrono Warden and Scale Commander trees, respectively, and gave my thoughts for each of them. So it was announced yesterday that there would be a set of nerfs coming through sometime later this week, probably today. And I went ahead and did the math of exactly what the impact is here. And this is probably looking a little busy. So what exactly I did here is my friend Tettles is running the Scale Commander build that I showed in my last video. And I did a run last night where I ran Chrono Warden with a crit heavy mastery setup. And both of us here, the reason I'm using these logs as an example, you can see here in the bottom, my run had 72% Ebonmite uptime, his had 71.5% uptime, and the nerf is directly related to Ebonmite. So I just wanted to show exactly what the impact is here, looking at a log and showing, my damage versus his. I think this is pretty typical of what you would expect from the specs. Chrono Warden has Ebonmite as its top damage typically, whereas Scale Commander relies a little bit more on its own damage through Eruption, etc. And so just looking at the data here, down in the bottom I've showed what my live character has, and I just tested this to make sure it's accurate. Maybe I'll try to put like a little snippet of me doing this in town, but the baseline for Ebonmite right now with no buffs whatsoever for me is 3,990, and you can see at the top, well, maybe you can't actually see. So this is the 6.5% plus the additional 10% modifier from Mythic Plus that they're taking out. So this number here is just strictly the baseline main stat times 5%, which equates to a 30% nerf, just specifically for Ebonmite. And once again, when you give people Ebonmite, it doesn't impact your own damage, so the only damage factor here is actually Ebonmite itself. And so you can see I have it highlighted here in like this gold color. So looking at just this log data, you can see that the nerf, what it's doing is looking at the actual amount times the nerf, just to give you a rough estimate of before and after DPS. And so since Chrono Warden is leaning more heavily into Ebonmite, you're looking at roughly a 6.5% nerf, a little bit under. And for Scale Commander, you're looking at roughly just under 6%. So yeah, just short and simple video here, just kind of showing you the impact of what I'm looking at. And I don't think this is really all that impactful. So for Chrono Warden, it becomes your second highest DPS under upheaval, assuming, a 72% uptime. Scale Commander, you go from second down to third, which is not really a big deal. You are losing quite a bit of DPS, on both sides, but you take this new damage of in this run. So this was a 12 Necrotic Wake that was pretty clean. I think we had one scuff in the middle, but it was pretty clean. Roughly, still third place under these two, where the Scale Commander, this was 11 Necrotic Wake. So once again, there's the affixes, etc. This week, I think there was like the 30% crit affix and cooldown reduction. So these numbers are probably a little bit higher than what you would expect, from a beta 11 Necrotic Wake. But you would expect to see, the new DPS here. This goes down underneath upheaval here on the charts, and the new DPS, it's still 1.2 million. He still would have done more than the Destro Warlock in this run. So not too impactful. I think you're in a situation where it still does pretty good DPS. You're still giving your healer and tank main stat, blistering scales, source of magic, all that good stuff. Not the worst thing in the world. If you're still playing keys to, play safe, if if the emphasis is in defensives, you're probably not going to care about these changes too much. If we're in a world where you're caring about just maximizing damage, there might be some outlier classes. There might be a new elemental shaman this week with the changes. You may end up just bringing 3 of those instead, but I think as long as you care about tank survivability, healer, stat, throughput, the changes really aren't all that impactful. So anyways, here's the data. I thought some people would be interested. So yeah, this is what I'm looking at, and hope you enjoy the update.